Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Victory Lap. As always, I'm your host, James Boss. Joined alongside me is the not as late Shane Tinney. Shane, how are we doing on this beautiful Wednesday morning?
I'm doing great on this Wednesday morning. And is that just going to be part of our intro now?
I mean, I feel like at this point it kind of has
That's
to.
2 weeks in a row now.
It is, but as long as you show up last, you're going to be counted as the late one.
We started on time today, though. We aimed for 9:30. It's 9:30.
Technically, we started a minute late, so...
Well, but the people seeing this, they'll have no idea.
Well, we have an idea. Me and Jeffrey Kopech, our excellent and wonderful producer hiding in the other room, we know.
Yeah, shout out to Jeff, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Jeff.
For making our show possible.
Could not do this without you, big guy. Anyways, let's stop talking about that guy. His head's too big. Looking at our first topic of the day, the Dallas Mavericks are reportedly considering shutting down Kyrie and Luka. Should they or should they not?
I would say no, absolutely not. Especially when you're looking at the Western Conference play-in race and how close as it is. And I've never been a fan of when teams sort of wave the white flag early to try and get a draft pick. I understand, a higher draft pick, you're going to get a good player, and that could potentially be a game changer for your team. But I always say, if you're healthy, you guys got to play, going down the stretch. And they got 3 games left this season, all at home. So they could potentially win out. And yeah, like I said, until they're mathematically eliminated, then if they want to shut them down, I would understand that. Because Kyrie Irving, we don't know if he's going to re-sign in the summer. So, say he gets hurt at the end, playing a meaningless game, and then his trade value is basically gone. So, but no. And then again, when you look at this team on paper, it should be, you would think, at the top of the West. But let me show you why it's not.
Oh.
So, the Mavericks are last in rebounding, last in offensive rebounding, last in second chance points, last in points in the paint, 29th in steals, 29th in fast break points, and 28th in blocks. So you only got yourself to blame.
It's a lot of bottom threes.
That's awful.
It's not very good.
So basically, this team just doesn't want to play defense.
No, but we kind of knew that, considering your best player on your team, as great as Luka is as an offensive player, he's not very good defensively. And you tack on top of that, you trade for Kyrie Irving, who is a notoriously bad defender. You can't really be that surprised, especially considering you let Brunson leave. What did they expect to have happen?
Yeah, and not only Jalen Brunson, but Spencer Dinwiddie, I think they missed too.
Yeah.
And Luka, in an interview, said the other day, he said, we miss him a lot, Jalen Brunson. We miss him a lot, amazing guy, amazing player. I don't know if that's the best look, really. Of course they miss him, but, I don't know if I would, say that, because now you're sparking rumors of, Luka's unhappy, Luka is going to maybe want to leave. And
I'm kind of all for it. I love it.
I'm sure they do, because you see the Knicks.
Oh, the Knicks are great with Brunson. They've been amazing with Brunson. He's been on fire.
They're in a lot better spot than the Mavericks, which
that's for sure.
No one would have had that penciled in at the start of the year. But no, good for Brunson. Maybe he just needed sort of a change of scenery.
Are we going to finally put respect on Jalen Brunson's name? Because I know after Brunson got that big deal from the Knicks, at least here, it seemed like everybody was kind of clowning the Knicks for giving Brunson all that money, but can we acknowledge that it's a very good deal for the Knicks? Brunson is an incredible player.
He is. I just think the main thing is, I think it was $100 million for 3 years, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was the largest deal to a player that's never been an All-Star, that's a lot of money. But
it's a lot of money, but it's also very hard to be an All-Star right now in the NBA.
Yeah. I think that was the main thing with the Knicks, but it might just end up paying off.
I think it is. Brunson's still a kid. He's not old.
Yeah.
He's only going to get better, and he's already this good.
Yeah, and looking at that team, they seem to be locked into that 5th spot, the Knicks in the East. So, but going back to the Mavs, I don't think they should pull the plug. They still got a chance, and I don't know Because if they can sneak into the play-in, I don't know if teams would want to face those two. I mean, we just talked about the defense, but like Kyrie and Luka to me is still like one of the best 1-2 punches in the league. So just and like I said, with the play-in being so close and weak as it is, I don't think they should pull the plug at all.
Well, I also agree. I don't think they should. I think they would be dumb as rocks if they end up pulling the plug on the two of them. Because at least if you look at the NBA, it's kind of a crapshoot if you're going to get a good player in the draft or not, which is essentially what they're kind of going for, is just a better draft pick. And really, what's the big difference between like getting to 18 and getting to 10? Mm-hmm. Honestly, there's not much. So I don't think on that aspect they should. And if you're looking at it in an injury perspective, one, why do you care about Kyrie Irving? He's a free agent after the season. I understand for Luka, but Luka's probably not going to get hurt. He hasn't been dealing with injury really at all this season.
He stayed healthy for the most part.
And so there's no real reason to try and protect their legs for 3 games. It's stupid. You're only a half game out of the play-in. And the Thunder just lost. Like, you're still very much in this whole thing. I don't understand why they would ever bench both of them the rest of the way. It's dumb. I also want to go at you real quick because I don't really worry if I'm playing the Mavs in a play-in tournament. Because look at the teams that they're going to have to play. None of them should really fear this team. I understand how talented of players Luka and Kyrie are, but they're two very individualistic players. They're two incredibly ball-dominant point guards that don't fit well together. And that was my thing when this trade first happened, is I didn't think these two guys were going to fit. I think they're both very good. There's no arguing that. They're both incredible scorers. Luka's a great playmaker, but they wouldn't work well together. And I am not surprised that it hasn't worked at all. And I think that if you find them in the play-in, you're not scared.
Yeah, I think it just circles back to when Kyrie Irving joined this team, they were the 4th seed, and the two of them together, they've gone 7-12.
Yeah,
and I don't think you could just blame it all on Kyrie.
No,
I just think I think they're still sort of figuring out their chemistry together.
I don't think you can blame it all on Kyrie, but they had chemistry with Spencer Dinwiddie and Luka that got them to 5th in the West.
And last season
it got them to the conference finals.
They beat the Suns. I don't know if that was the semifinals or
I'm pretty sure they made it to the conference finals last year.
They smoked the Suns.
Yeah. And so it's like they had something there. Why you would get rid of Dinwiddie and replace for Kyrie when their two playstyles are completely different. Dinwiddie is a facilitator. Kyrie is a scorer. Dinwiddie plays defense. Kyrie doesn't. It's a terrible swap. I hated it when it happened. I thought it was stupid. It made no sense to me. And it still makes no sense. I still don't understand why they thought this would be a good idea. I can understand wanting to go out and get Kyrie Irving because it's Kyrie Irving. The guy's an incredible player. He's a proven winner, and he's more than comfortable taking big shots in big games. That's a good thing to have. But when you already have a guy like Luka who can also do just those same things, there's no reason to get a second, especially if you have to give up basically your wingman to Luka to do that. It's dumb, and it ended up being dumb because they've since fallen from 5th to not even in the play-in.
Yeah, and I gotta wonder if there's sort of this internal thing between the two of them, because it's okay, you would have to stay. It's still Luka's team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, but then Kyrie Irving walks in the door though. This guy's a champion and a proven player in the league. So it's okay, am I deferring to you or you deferring? I wonder if there's any issues like that. And I also think it seems like with this trade, they went more for the shock value here.
Yeah.
And the box office appeal of Kyrie Irving, which, it looks good. It's going to sell jerseys. It's going to look good, but that'll get you 11th in the Western Conference, I guess.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a surprise. This was never gonna work. I mean, when was the last time Kyrie has actually worked on a team? He only really worked with LeBron. He didn't work in Boston. He sure didn't work in Brooklyn. Now he comes to Dallas, still isn't working. As good as a player as Kyrie is, it seemed, I don't necessarily know if he's like a locker room cancer kind of guy, but sure is having the effect to make every team that he goes to worse. So I just don't get why he's continuously being pursued as a top option. I understand what his talent-wise, what he brings to the table, but when it consistently results in losing, that shouldn't be a bonus for any organization, at least not in my eyes.
Yeah, no, and if they continue, over the next 3 games, if they just aren't seeing the playoffs, I don't see Kyrie back with this team next year.
I don't even think, even if they do make the playoffs, that I see Kyrie back with
This is already sort of like a failed little experience. 7-12 together, they lost 7 of their last 8 games.
Yeah. It's been bad.
Yeah. So.
It's been very bad there.
But they got 3 games left.
They do.
All at home, so.
They do have 3 games left, but it's not exactly an easy 3 games. I mean, you get the Kings, who are very good. You get the Bulls, who have been very hot lately. And then you get a cakewalk final game against the Spurs, where honestly, I'm not even that confident they can beat the Spurs right now. They should, because the Spurs are terrible. But that's the only one that I look at and I think, okay, they should win that game.
They should. I think they can beat the Bulls.
They can beat the Bulls, but I don't know if they will.
The Kings are just better. The only way they can maybe get them is if the Kings seem to be locked into that 3 spot.
If they decide to bench people and let them sit, maybe. But
Yeah.
that's the only way. Because if the Kings are starting their regular 5, they're not winning. There's no chance.
Yeah.
See Sabonis dropped a triple-double yesterday?
I did.
That guy, he's something else.
That's my alternative MVP pick.
Yep.
But then Embiid dropped 52.
Yeah, so he's going to...
That kind of felt like
Yeah,
this is mine.
he scored over half their points to beat Boston.
Yeah.
That's wild.
He's a dog.
He is a dog. Man. Kyrie, though, he did drop 41 on Sunday, and they lost.
That's kind of the story of this team, really. And really, their best case scenario is because they're not going to pass it. They're not going to get to 9th.
No.
I don't think.
No, their best shot is 10.
They can pass the Thunder, and that's really about it. And then they'll have to face probably the Timberwolves, who I'm going to talk about in our next topic. But, yeah, they can. They got to keep playing.
They do.
That's my ending statement on this.
Yeah, I kind of agree with your official opinion there. But we're going to move on to our next topic, which is after the play-in, once all of the dust settles there, who do we think will take the 7 and 8 seeds for the Western Conference in the playoffs?
So, prior to last night's games is when I made these notes. And since then, there's been some shaking up in the standings because originally in the 7th seed, I had the Warriors. Because the Warriors were 6th, and I was predicting that they would go down to 7th, and them and the Lakers would swap, and the Lakers would be 6th. Because, so we all know the Warriors just can't seem to play basketball on the road this season.
Nope.
And they have 2 road games remaining, including one in Sacramento, which that's obviously going to be a tough game. And then for the Lakers, they get the Jazz twice. They beat them last night, so they got 1 win already. The Clippers, which is basically a home game.
Yep.
And then they got the Suns at home to close it out, which I think the way they've been playing, they can beat the Suns.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and especially at home. So, so the way LA's been playing, I don't think it's far-fetched that they can just win out. And then because of that, I think the Warriors and them would just kind of just swap. But now the Warriors are in 5th, so.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little tough to do that. Granted, it's 5th by like a game.
So
it's not like it's a massive lead in 5, but it's still a lead nonetheless.
Who do you got at 7?
Man, I think I do have the Lakers. I don't see the Lakers. Well, actually, no. I do see the Lakers moving up. I think they pass the Clippers. So I think they go out and beat the Clippers.
Yep.
Essentially at home. And I think after that they never look back because maybe if they do lose to Phoenix, they'll still beat the Jazz to close out the season. I'm fairly confident. It was a close game yesterday, but I think take them on in LA. It's not that close. It's not as close of a game, especially if it's the last game of the season and LeBron and AD can go into it knowing that they need that win to clinch avoiding the play-in. They're going to win that game.
And the Jazz will probably be eliminated.
Most likely. One would have to assume. So one team will have a lot to play for. One team will have absolutely nothing to play for. And granted, a team with nothing to play for can be scary.
Sure.
But it's LeBron. I'm going to put my money on LeBron to win a game like that. So I do have the Lakers avoiding the play-in. I have the Clippers at the 7. I think they make it through the play-in. I think they win their first game, and I think they win it fairly easily because, frankly, the Clippers are better than every other team that they would have to play in the play-in. My other team to make it, I like a lot. That's the Pelicans. I really like the Pelicans. They're just so fun. They're good.
Zion.
No Zion, they don't matter. Because what? They're going to have to deal with either the Mavs and the 10, who, as we have already mentioned, don't know how to play together, or you're going to have to deal with the Thunder, who, as much as I love Shea, I don't really think that team has enough talent to get through the play-in.
Not yet.
And then you have the Timberwolves, who choke every single year, so I don't care about them. I feel good about these Pelicans. I like Brandon Ingram. I like Brandon Ingram a lot. I don't like CJ McCollum for slightly related basketball reasons. He should have shot more. We'll just leave it there. But I think I like the Pelicans to make it through.
So for my 8th seed, I got the Timberwolves. Like, I know what their record is. They're exactly a 500 team right now. But I think it's finally time for this team to not break through, because winning the play-in isn't breaking through. But, I mean, you look at this team.
They have all of the talent.
No reason Karl Anthony Towns and Gobert and Mike Conley cannot at least make it through a play-in tournament.
Well.
So I think they're going to end up in 8th, right?
Yeah.
So that means, according to my prediction, they would have to play the Warriors at 7, which I think they would lose to the Warriors in that 7-8 game, but then I think they beat the Thunder or the Pelicans, and then I think that just locks them in at 8, and then they're probably going to get smoked by the Nuggets in the first round.
Oh, absolutely.
But
although I will say the Nuggets did lose to the Rockets yesterday.
Yeah.
So I guess anything's possible there.
The 20-60 Rockets they did lose to.
Hey, Houston's been hot lately.
Yeah, they've won one game in a row.
Hey, they're better than the Pistons, who have won 1 out of their last 24 games.
Yeah, they're really killing it.
They are. Man, I'm so jealous, honestly. Hey, at least they're going to get Wemby, probably.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun duo.
Yeah, well, it really
Cade
will
and
be.
Wemby.
Yep.
That'll be good.
And they got James Wiseman now. Who I thought was going to be a lot better in the league than he turned out to be.
No, he stinks.
Yeah.
He is bad.
Because, like, when they got him at 2, I was like, oh, they got a dog.
Yeah, I thought the Warriors were going to evolve back into, like, the 73-9 Warriors after that. And then Wiseman stunk.
Because he's, like, 7'2".
Yep.
He was kind of like that big center that they didn't really have. And I was like, oh, boy, this is...
Turns out he's just the next Festus Ezeli.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I think, I got the Warriors at 7, and then at 8, the Timberwolves. But looking at the picture right now as it currently stands, that might be, I don't know. If I redid this question, I'd probably have a different answer.
Yeah, I stand by my opinion because I have zero respect for the Clippers as a team and an organization and all of that. They stink. They're losers. They're the little brother to the Lakers, and the Lakers are going to assert dominance on them in a road game against the Clippers. Oh, it's going to be great.
That's a home. That game is tonight at 10.
Yeah.
That's a home game for the Lakers because everyone wants to see the Lakers make the playoffs.
Well, also, there's
over the Clippers.
A lot more Laker fans in LA than there are Clipper fans because no one, frankly, gives a hoot about the Clippers in LA.
Wonder
Doesn't
why.
matter. Oh, honestly, I do wonder why. It's a shocker. It's a conundrum, one might say. Yeah, no, the Clippers stink. How about that? How about them Clippers? They fell off. They were supposed. I thought they didn't really fall off. They moved down like one spot, maybe two.
They do have the same identical record as the Lakers.
They do.
We'll just put that out there. But
Yeah, they were much higher than the Lakers,
They were.
and then they got Russ, and the Lakers lost Russ. So I can only think of one thing that could have.
and they got D'Lo.
They did get D'Lo.
Yeah, the Clippers are another team. Like, they
Perennial sellers.
yeah, like they should have been at least to a finals by now.
Should have.
Like with that team, because that's a good team. In
It
all
is a good
reality,
team.
that's a good team.
It's a very good team, but they're perennial sellers because the organization and the team is cursed because they stink. I love seeing them lose. It brings me so much joy.
They're probably gonna, cause what they're gonna play. They would if everything stands right now. If the playoffs started today, they would play the Kings.
Oh, they get bounced. Whoever's playing the Kings is getting bounced
Yeah.
first round.
Because so they would face off against the Kings, and I would like to think the Kings would they'd beat them
Yeah,
probably in like 6.
5.
Clippers still got Kawhi and PG. Like that's that veteran like presence experience and Ty Lue.
Well, that's also
Kings in 6. I don't think that's
5 because you say they have veteran experience in Kawhi and Paul George. I'll give you Kawhi. Playoff P is not exactly the veteran experience I would want to have
I
on
don't
a
know what you're
playoff
talking
team.
about. 3-1 lead PG is different.
He's different in all the right ways, isn't he? Oh boy, let's stop talking about basketball. Let's move on to baseball. For 1 week into the season, how do we feel about all these rule changes?
I mean, I think you're probably going to agree with everything I'm about to say.
One way, potentially.
But, I mean, this is great. This is like, I think I would go as far to say, like, this is the coolest baseball's ever looked. Like, I think, I mean, you just see it watching some of these games. You just see the faster pace, and, like, there's just not as much sort of, like, downtime. And I really like the shift gone because
It's great.
that's making for more like flashier plays, more diving on the infield and stuff like that, and also more hits, obviously. It's great. The bigger bases, more steals. There's just more action in a more compact time, and I don't really think you can ask for more than that. Like, it's just the game moves right along. I remember watching the opener, and you look up, and I was like, oh, wow, I feel like the game just started. They're in the 5th inning.
Yeah, well, granted, I know which opener you're talking about. That Yankees-Giants game, it very much helped that Garrett Cole struck out the first 7 batters he faced, and then Logan Webb was going toe-to-toe with him. Like, both of them, I think Cole finished with 11 strikeouts. I think Webb had 12. Like, they were humming.
Yeah.
And they were and they weren't taking any time. So, like, that certainly helped.
But still, like, that doesn't happen.
No.
Like, a few years ago.
No, it doesn't. And I think if you want to look at the pace of play, you don't have to look any farther than you did yesterday. Sandy Alcantara throws a complete game shutout, and normally games will go at least 2 hours. It's very rare to find a baseball game that lasts under 2 hours. It took us, 5 days of playing baseball? I think maybe 6 days of playing baseball for there to be a sub 2 hour game because Sandy Alcantara threw a 2-hit shutout. And like, we're in this first week still. Like, that hasn't happened in a very long time, and yet it's already happened. And it helps that Sandy Alcantara is that dog. He is so good. I love that guy. I should have worn his jersey today, honestly. Have it back home. But it's just so much. I love watching this. Like, the pace of play really does come into factor. The games have never flown by like they do now because I was noticing it. I haven't watched a whole lot of baseball since opening day because I haven't had a whole lot of time for it. But the opening day games, I was watching them all day, and I haven't seen baseball move that quickly in, frankly, ever. And a lot of it is because of these pitch clock rules, which I will say, I do think they have to figure out the pitch clock a little bit more. I don't think 15 seconds is quite enough time on either side because there hasn't been a whole lot of the batter sort of pitch clock violations. There haven't been a whole lot of them, but they're still there, and they don't really have any time to step out of the box between pitches, which, while they get the bonus of the no more shift, so that helps batters, I still think that you can bump the pitch clock up to 20 seconds, and you'll still get that same pace of play bonus, and you'll at least let the batters have like some time to reset between pitches if they're, in a funk during an at-bat, because I don't really love the whole idea of like, oh, if you go down like 0-2, you're out immediately, because if you aren't able to step out of the box, you're probably not going to bounce back from it. And so I'd like them to be able to get a little bit more time between so they can kind of get in a little bit more of a groove, try and reset their headspace a little bit. But other than that, I have no problem with it. I think all the changes have been great. I think my real favorite one has been the bigger bases because I love base running. It has always been my favorite thing. It was my favorite thing when I played. It's my favorite thing when I watched. And one of my favorite World Series team ever, not even the Dodgers, was the 2015 Kansas City Royals, who literally won by playing small ball, where they just put the ball in play and stole bases. I loved watching them play. They were so much fun. That is every single team right now because steals are skyrocketing. Like, Corbin Carroll had 3 steals in a game.
Unheard of.
It's the first week. We haven't been seeing this in forever. Like, it's amazing what they're doing right now. So that's been my biggest positive, my favorite takeaway from all of these rule changes. Steals are just fun. And right now, they're happening more. So it makes it more fun.
Yeah, I agree with everything. Like, it's great. I think you bring up the pitch clock thing. I can maybe see if they were going to move to 20. I can understand that, but they can call time.
They can, but they don't. There was an issue with it yesterday where I forget who it was, but they didn't.
I saw that.
They didn't grant time to the hitters, so either you can call it a little bit earlier, but the umpires still gotta at least like be accountable and also abide by those kinds of things. And I understand that they don't always grant it. It happens sometimes. It happened before the pitch clock where batter would call time right before the pitch is thrown and the umpire just wouldn't give it to him. Sometimes they do, but it's late. I remember there was that one Rougned Odor homer for the Yankees. I think it was last year, might have been 2 years ago, where he calls time, the pitch is still thrown, and then he hits a homer, and as he's grounding first, they wave it off because he called time right before. So, like, you can still have things like that where even without the pitch clock, it can get the little bit of wrinkles in games. But
yeah.
I think that the umpires still have to at least abide by it. And if the batter does call time, they're at such a disadvantage with the pitch clock already that you kind of have to give it to them a little bit there. But, yeah.
Yeah. So far, though, I really liking it.
Oh, it's been great. I love this. Because the shift being gone, I think that's another. It's hard for me to say it's a great thing because I like the strategic advantage that the shift brought. I thought it was a very good way to kind of force or to allow teams to get a bit of a competitive advantage without actually cheating. But
it felt like he was cheating sometimes when you looked at some of the formations they would roll out there.
Yeah, but the thing is that all it takes is for a guy like Freddie Freeman to just practice hitting balls the other way, and then you can beat it every single time you step up to the plate. Like, it's...
Say that like it's easy.
I do say it like it's easy. It's very much not easy. If it was easy, other people would do it. But at the same time, you have so many stubborn baseball players and stubborn coaches that sell out for homers and say, look, I don't care if you ground out into the shift 3 times out of 5 and strike out one of the other times, as long as you can homer sometimes, like, they think it's worth it. But Joey Gallo, exactly.
Yep.
But I don't love that they kind of gave in to that mindset. I would have liked for them to try and say, like, hey, we'll do a little bit, but I don't I don't know. I like the shift, kind of. I'm happy. I'm okay with it being gone because now Joey Gallo, like you mentioned, having a resurgent year. He's hitting over 300 right now.
He's got 3 home runs.
He does have 3 home runs. And he feels so much more comfortable at the plate because he can pull a ball and it's not an automatic out anymore if it doesn't leave the park. Like, that's kind of cool. Corey Seager is going to absolutely go insane this year. And a lot of that is because there's no shift. Like, it's cool that you can have these guys bounce back from relatively down years average-wise and down stretches of time average-wise. Like, Joey Gallo's been dealing with the shift ever since he came into the league because, frankly, he can't do anything but pull the ball. Mm-hmm. And so now he's actually going to be able to do that and not be scared. But I kind of missed the strategic aspect of being able to have 2 left fielders or right fielders.
Yeah, like it was smart. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a good strategy to, like, if you can prevent hits in any way possible, you're gonna do it. It's just like when they would show like the aerial view sometimes of some of these like formations.
Oh, it's absurd.
Be like, what is this?
It's absurd, but also all it takes is just learning how to bunt, and then you can just drop one down the third base line, and you're safe literally every time as long as you can learn how, which honestly isn't that hard. A lot of it is just an ego thing.
Yep.
And just get a smaller ego, and you'll be able to get more hits. If you're that upset about a shift.
Hits are more fun than bunts, though.
A bunt is a hit.
We want to see the ball hit instead of a bunt. But I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, though.
If the bases are empty and they have one guy on the left side of the field, he's not going to be able to get it if you drop it down the line.
Yeah, no, I get it. But, like, that's, like, as a fan watching the game.
For you, maybe.
That's boring.
For you. Not boring for me. I love it. Bunts are awesome.
Yeah, like, no, I completely get
How
it. How
cool would it be to watch Joey Gallo bunt? I think that would be great.
It'd be, he's on first base for once. And not walking back to the dugout with his helmet in his hand already. And then Yankees fans booing him.
Yeah. See Joey. I mean, maybe if he just bunted, he would have stayed in New York.
Yeah, then we would have really embraced him.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't be a twin.
Yeah. Good pull. Glad you could still get that one. Anyways, let's move to the back half of our show now. Last week, we did a whole lot of baseball over-under win totals. This week, we're going to move on to football now that I believe it was FanDuel or DraftKings. One of the two.
CBS Sports.
CBS Sports, same thing. They released their over-unders for... Jeff is calling me out because... they're not the same thing, although in my mind, close enough.
Yeah.
Big difference. Who cares? Anyways, they released the over-unders for for every team in the NFL. We're going to look at the AFC here today, and starting with the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills. They are projected from CBS Sports, not FanDuel or DraftKings, to win 10.5 games this year. How do you feel about that one?
I think this is over. I think it's pretty easy over. 10.5 feels a little disrespectful to the Bills. I think, they've kind of had these little rumors with Stephon Diggs lately. He took all of his Buffalo Bills stuff out of his Instagram bio, which that's not a good sign. But, the Bills had a lot of injuries last year, and I think if that doesn't happen, this team should have no problem winning 12, 13 games.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. This is one of the easiest overs out of all of them. I think there's like one other incredibly easy over that we'll get to later. But 10.5, the Bills win 12 games every year, at least. Like, they're going to hit that, no question. Josh is still Josh. You can claim that Joe Burrow's better. Josh Allen has literally been single-handedly carrying this Buffalo Bills team. So he's going to be able to carry them to another 12 wins like he has the last however many years it's been. The only way I think it doesn't happen is if he gets hurt. Because I think even if they do lose Diggs, they still win 12.
Yeah, probably. I just want to see him finally break through because it seems like the past 3 years, they get really good in the regular season and they lose. So maybe this will be their year.
I doubt it. But they're still going to be a good regular season team. Looking at the Dolphins, 9.5. How do you feel about that?
I think this is a really good line. I got them winning 10. I still think with the that firepower on offense, and now you get Jalen Ramsey, I don't think this team should have any issue winning 10 games. I think as long as Tua stays healthy and he can still get the ball to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, I think this team should win 10 games.
I don't think that happens. I think I have the under. I just don't trust the quarterback. I don't trust Tua. I don't think he's going to stay on the field enough. And assuming he doesn't stay on the field, which he's not going to, his head doesn't work. They don't have a good enough backup to make up for it. I don't think Ramsey is going to have a big enough effect on the defense to be able to make it elite and good enough to stop Tua or to stop other teams when Tua goes down. I think it's the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins hit the under. It's just too big a hole. It's such an important position. Looking at the Pats, 7.5.
I go under here. I think they're probably the worst team in this division. And, facing the Bills and the Dolphins twice a year just makes it even harder on them. Yeah, I think they win 7 games. I just don't feel like this team is really going to anywhere really. There's been the rumors they're shopping around Mac Jones. So I'm just not seeing it with this team. I got them winning 7 games.
Yeah, I'm on the other side for you once again. I got the over. I like this team. I still trust
Pats
Bill.
are done.
Don't get me wrong. I don't know exactly what they do, but I like Bill. I like Mac Jones. I think this might be a sleeper playoff team. I think they could sneak into a wild card spot. I don't think they win a wild card game, but I think they can take one of them if things go right. I can't count out Bill Belichick. He is too good of a coach to count out, and I mean, I have been seeing the rumors of them getting Aaron Rodgers, and that talk still being alive. But even if that doesn't happen, I still like Mac Jones enough to be able to make up for it because he doesn't have to deal with Matt Patricia calling screens every other play. So I think that's at the very least enough to get them to 500, and that'll get them over the 7.5. Anyways, looking at the Jets, 9.5. How do you feel about that one?
So for Jeff's team, I think this is another good line. I still would go under slightly. I got him winning 9 games. We talked about this Aaron Rodgers deal a few episodes ago. I still don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to fall through. You can see this is like an up-and-coming team. Like, they're going to get Breece Hall back. Again, though, it's a tough division, like playing the Bills and the Dolphins twice. I think they can get to 9 wins, which I don't like. That'd be a solid season for them, like considering their past years. I'm really looking forward to seeing Breece Hall back on the field, though, because we saw how good he was playing before he got hurt. But, yeah, I got him at 9 wins, at the slightly under.
So the way I think with the Jets, if they actually get Aaron Rodgers, I assume this number is going to skyrocket, and I kind of have to assume he's going to be a Jet, regardless of all the delays and everything going on around it. I'm kind of assuming he's going to be in Jersey. With that assumption, still give me the under. I don't think he works well. He hasn't worked well with new receivers. So I don't think that's going to be a very big bonus for this team. He's also very stubborn, and I think he will ruin this offense. Granted, there wasn't much of an offense to ruin if you're looking at last year, but I don't think it's going to get a whole lot better. I don't buy the New Jersey Jets stock. I don't think they'll be that great, regardless of if they get 12. The defense is still fantastic. There's no question there, but Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think he's going to have as monumental of an impact on this team as all of the people in Jersey believe. So give me the under.
I agree.
Anyways, looking at the AFC North now, Bengals have a very hefty line at 11.5. How do you feel about this one?
I mean, come on. This is over. They win at least 12 games. They're going to come back next year probably hungrier than last, and we know Joe Burrow's a dog. They're winning at least 12 games.
This is one of the ones that's really hard because the Bengals are really good. There's no question about how good the Bengals are, but they have that weird tendency to just go on like random cold streaks. Last year it happened at the start of the season. The year before it was like right in the middle. I think by the end of the season they're going to be red hot. They're going to look like one of the best teams in the league. But I wouldn't be shocked if they have 11. With that said, I'm still taking the over, but it's a slight over. I don't think they win more than 12. They're not winning 13 games. They very well could win 11. I just love Joe Shiesty. How can you not? I want to see the Bungles win more than this, but I just don't really think they win more than 12 in the best case. So I hope they win 12. I
Yeah.
want them to win 12. At the
Sure.
very least, I'm taking them to win 12.
Yeah, I think that's for me, like that's their floor. They're getting 12 wins.
It's not their floor. It's not.
With the rest of their division too.
The division isn't as bad as you think it is. Other than the next team that we're about to talk about, it's not that bad.
Bengals are winning 12. I could see them winning 13, personally.
I don't. I disagree.
see.
I disagree. But we will talk about what I think is the worst team in this division. The Baltimore Ravens. I'll start this one. I think this is the easiest under. 8.5 is absurdly high for a team that doesn't have a quarterback. Lamar is not playing for them.
Nope.
There is no chance. So without Lamar, they're not hitting 9 wins. They're not going to be a 500 team with Tyler Huntley. That guy stinks. He's not good. You can call him a budget Lamar. I'll just say it. He's a bad Lamar, not a budget one. He is just a Lamar if he was not good at football. There's no chance in the world that this team wins 9 games. 0. This is the easiest under by far.
Yeah, I agree. I had them at 7 wins.
No, not even.
I
They
mean-
might win. They might be one of the worst teams in the AFC this year.
They're 100% losing Lamar. He is not put on a Ravens uniform again. And yeah, this might be the start of a rebuild,
It should be.
like for them. And yeah, I got them at 7 wins.
Yeah, I think I might have them at like 4, 5 maybe. This team sucks. There's no chance. Because they don't have talent anywhere. They have Mark Andrews on the offense, and that's it. Their defense is solid, but like their defense isn't as good as it had been in the past. I think this team is going to suck.
Because last year, they had around 8 wins last year, I think.
Yeah, they had I think 9 last year.
So and then you take off Lamar, and they're done.
Yeah, because they were only good with Lamar last year.
And he only played like half the season.
Yeah. And then they fell off in the second half because you had to play with Tyler Huntley who's recorded. This team's going to suck. Anyways, looking at the Steelers, 8.5.
I would take the over here. I think they get to 9, maybe even 10. I like the way Kenny Pickett has sort of progressed through his rookie season. They kind of rebuild their offensive line a little bit in the offseason, and obviously that's going to have Najee Harris have a better year because he had a pretty down year last season, and I don't really see that happening again. I like Pickett. I really think that team can sort of start to come into their own this year, and I would say I got them at 9 wins.
I also have the over. I don't really think this team is all that good, but I think they take advantage of the 2 weaker teams in their division. And on top of that, Mike Tomlin, for no reason, always finishes above 500. Mm-hmm. And I just think this is another one of those seasons. Looking at my least favorite team in this division, I don't think they're the worst, but they're my least favorite. The Cleveland Browns, 8.5. There's a lot of 8.5s in the AFC
Yeah,
North.
there is. I would take the over here. I think they get 10 wins. Obviously, last year, the whole Deshaun Watson drama, that seems like it's sort of not going to be a thing next year. And I think that's just a whole nother offseason of work for him. And I think we might see that Houston Deshaun Watson again. And that team, it's got some talent. And if he can play like the Texans Deshaun that he was, I think he can get that team 10 wins.
I have the under. I am a Deshaun Watson hater. I don't like him. I don't want him to be playing football anymore. And I hope he never throws a football again. Unfortunately, I know that's not going to be the case because he's signed to a very long, fully guaranteed contract.
A very silly deal.
Very silly. And last year he wasn't throwing it well, so I just hope that continues. And I honestly think it might because he took 2 years off. He basically took 2 years off of football. And a year and a half, essentially.
Yep.
That's a very long time. And we haven't really ever seen anybody come back from that and be successful. I don't think he's going to be the first person to do it. So I say the under. This guy's a bum. The organization is full of bums, and the team is all bums too. Screw the Browns, and I hope they have fun stinking. Anyways, let's move to a fun division in the AFC South. Starting with my Jacksonville Jaguars. They're sitting at 9.5. Where are you taking that one?
This is an easy over for me. I think they get 11 wins. Last season we saw them progress as the season went along. I felt like every single game they were sort of hitting a new level. And now you get this. You add Calvin Ridley. I think this is going to be one of the best teams in the AFC. And I think 9.5 is very low to me. I think I got them at 11 wins.
I think that this is the easiest over. The Bills were close. This one is by far the easiest. This Jags team is good. Mm-hmm. It's pretty darn good. And they're in a dog water division.
Yep.
I would hammer this.
Yep.
And 10 wins is guaranteed. That's their floor, is 10 wins, I think. The way Trevor Lawrence looked to close out the season last year was amazing. His resilience after throwing 4 first-half interceptions in a playoff game, say all you want about the first half. He was unbelievable in the second. And that says a lot about him as a player. And it shows that even when he's terrible to start a game, he can still pick it up. And he's got that short-term memory loss that you need in a great player. He's got that. This is the year of the Jag. I had a Jaguars jersey I was going to be wearing, but I had to take it off because it didn't go very well with the blue background. So it's a bit unfortunate. Would have been loving to rep the boys on this show. But I think the kids are all going to develop. I love the Jags. And I know I mentioned that it's very hard for a player to come back out and be good after a year and a half. I don't care what I just said. I think Calvin Ridley's a dog, and I love he's wearing number 0, and I think he's going to be amazing.
So do I. I like that they added number 0 now.
Yeah. It's love it. It is very tough. This is the year of the Jag. Hammer the over. Looking at the Tennessee Titans, 7.5. I feel like I know where you're going with this.
I mean, come on. The rest of this division is going to just be almost all under. And they might win 7 games. They might win 6. They might honestly win 4. I think this is one of the worst teams in the league next year. Derrick Henry isn't just going to carry this team to 10, 12 wins like he used to. The only thing that might save this team is their terrible division, other than the Jags, obviously, because that's 2 losses right there. You can pencil those in.
Yeah.
They're just not going anywhere. There's nothing really to look for in this team. They get maybe 5, 6 wins.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the under, this team is terrible. I think at most they get 5 wins. I don't know I don't remember if Tannehill's back. Even if he is, it doesn't matter. He's not very good if they don't have a PJ Walker. Or no, they have Malik Willis. Malik Willis is in Tennessee. He's terrible. Regardless, their quarterback play isn't going to be good. Their defense is okay. Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, but his legs are starting to wear down. He's not carrying a team. This team sucks. Their team, it's bad.
Yep.
Generous, very generous, 7.5. They're giving them the benefit of the doubt of being in a bad division where, sure, they beat up on the other 2 teams, but I don't think it's going to be enough because they're losing to every other team they have to play. So, yeah, at most 5. I'm with you. I think this is one of the worst teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the almost said the Kansas City Colts, the Indianapolis Colts, 6.5.
Another under. I think they can win 5 games. I feel similar about them and the Titans. They got Jonathan Taylor. There's really just sort of nothing going here. They're gonna get the Texans twice. They could probably win those games. They're just not gonna be any good teams they play. They win 5 games.
The Colts are hard for me because I think it purely depends on who they get, which quarterback they get in the draft, assuming they draft a quarterback, which they have to.
Yeah.
I think they hit the over, but I
Really?
wouldn't be shocked if they draft an Anthony Richardson, who I think will be very good, but I think he's going to kind of be like Josh Allen and have a very tough start to his career. And I'm not 100% sure I don't really know. This is a bit of a toss-up for me of all of these teams. I think they get 7 wins, but they might finish with 3, and I wouldn't be that surprised. I want to take the over. I think this team has talent. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but give me the over. Looking at the last team in this division, the Houston Texans at 5.5.
This is probably the worst team in the league. I'll give them under. I think they can win 4 games. It's just they won like what 2 or 3 last
I
season.
think they won 3.
Yeah, so just nothing to really look at here. Their division sucks, and 3. I'll give them 5 wins. We'll do that.
Yeah, I think they get 4 or 5. I'm taking the under 2. I think they're going to draft Bryce Young and get stuck with him, and I think he sucks. And I think he is not going to be a good ad for any team, especially a team like the Texans who have absolutely zero talent around him. He's going to need help to be a good quarterback, Bryce Young will, and he's not going to have any of that in Houston. I think this team is bad. The roster stinks, and they're going to be too horrid to get anything more than 5 wins.
This next division is a whole different story.
Oh, it's a much different story. So let's look at the AFC West, starting with the reigning Kelsey Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs at 11.5.
I think this is a good line. But I do think they're going to win probably 12. Should be arguably the best team in the league, but we never know really. Are we going to start to see that Super Bowl hangover from last season? And I hope it doesn't. I hope I'm wrong here, but at some point, are we going to start to see Travis Kelce sort of lose a step or two?
No.
Guy's 33.
And?
I hope it doesn't happen. I really do. But with that said, as long as they got Patrick Mahomes under center and Kelce being Kelce, this is a lock for at least 10 wins every single season. I think they got 12 in them this year. You
missed the other, I'd say maybe the most important member of that team being Big Red Andy Reid.
That's true.
As long as he is there, this team's winning 12 games. This is still the Chiefs. This is always going to be the Chiefs. They can throw week 17 and it won't matter. Or I guess week 18 now.
Yep.
This isn't over. It's an easy over. This is one of the easier overs. They're winning 12, 13 games, and it's a guarantee. Had we not been collegiate athletes, we would put money on this. But we had a talk yesterday, so we can't do that.
Yeah.
So, were I someone else, I would put a lot of money on this team to win more than 11.5 games. This team's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, next year we'll be able to.
Next year we will not be collegiate athletes anymore. So, rumor has it there might be some things happening. Some happenings will be happening. Anyways, moving on. The Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego, 9.5.
This team was. What do we make of this team, really?
No.
Like, they were underwhelming last year. This just kind of felt like a team. There was people picking this team to go all the way.
I was one of them.
In the beginning of the year.
I thought they would.
And I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt this year. I think this year they break through. Not go to the Super Bowl, but I think they can win like 11 games. I think this should be a top team in the AFC.
The way I see the Chargers, they have the roster to go 17-0, but the training staff and the coaching to go 0-17. Like, I don't know where they finish. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think they finish like 10-7, maybe 11-6. I think that's best case for them. This is football lines are a lot harder than baseball. This team is the perfect example of why. Like, there's not enough games, or there's so few games, and they can lose just a couple random ones, and that'll impact everything.
Yep.
And like, the Chargers are so weird. They're so weird. They should be great. They have no reason to not be great. But for whatever reason, they're consistently not great. I think they go over. They're tough.
I think this is like a test year for Herbert.
It is. It really is. The other half of JB squared, James Brown, for some reason thinks Justin Herbert is better than Josh Allen, which one of the worst takes I think I have ever heard.
It's a bad take.
It is a bad take. Anyways, we're going to beat you tonight. But
stay tuned for the game show, by the way.
Stay tuned. But looking at the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland, they're at 7.5.
This is a tough one for me. I lean towards under. I feel like this team sort of entered a semi-rebuild mode, and they're just kind of not going in the right direction. They brought in Jimmy G, but he's not going to be a life changer there, really. So I don't know. I'll give them 7. This is another tough line. I'll give them 7 wins at the slight under.
I don't think it's a very slight under. They're at 7.5. I think they're way under. I think this team is very bad. Jimmy G sucks. He's not a good quarterback. He got carried by an incredibly talented team around him. So I think that's going to be a bad play for the Raiders. The offensive line is bad. Their defense is bad.
Awful.
They don't have a tight end anymore. The only thing they have going for them is Devontae Adams. Because I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to have a great year either because he doesn't have a contract to play for anymore. He just got paid.
Yep.
He's going to be able to coast now. I think this team is going to suck. I think they are well under 7.5. I think that they are going to be one of these teams pushing for the worst team in the AFC, in my mind.
Josh Jacobs also, you saw his tweet after Darren Waller got traded.
Wasn't happy.
No.
Yeah.
He was not. So, this team is just kind of just stuck in mud, I feel like.
Yeah, I think they're a rough one. Broncos, 8.5.
I'm taking over here, for sure. Obviously, the Broncos were sort of the joke of the league last year, led by the man we named our LVP trophy after, Russell Wilson.
LVP being least valuable player,
yes,
of course. Making sure.
Yeah.
For those of us that were not around when we were back on WPNR.
Yes. I think Russ is still too good to play like that again. He's not going to have back-to-back years like that. He's still only 33, 34. And for quarterbacks in NFL, you got some years left in you still. I think he can get this team to 10 wins. They got a good roster. They can do it. It's just Russell Wilson was arguably the worst quarterback in the league last year. He's a bottom 5 probably quarterback.
He was not good.
So I don't see that happening again. I think he can get them to 10 wins.
Russell Wilson cannot cook. He was our LVP namesake for a reason. Mm-hmm. He's washed. I think the team is.
Stop it.
With that being said, I will take the over. Sean Payton is going to work some devil magic on this team. I don't understand how it will work, but it's going to happen. And I think this is, 8.5 is a lot considering just how bad of a team they were, but they got to get the over. I think this is a playoff team for some unforsaken reason.
Yeah, he's not playing like that 2 years in a row.
Well, he's done it. He's already done it 2 years in a row. That's the thing. He did it in Seattle too.
That was a new bad.
It was a new bad, but it's not an absurdly new bad. He was bad in Seattle. Let's not forget.
That last season, it wasn't great.
Yeah. And then he came to Denver and was still not great.
And he doubled it.
Yeah. So he could do it 3 years in a row. Could go for the three-peat.
They got 10 wins.
He's trying to be like Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Anyways, that's our show. Shane, one quick question before we leave. I want to know your pick for who you think is going to win the AFC.
The early pick, you immediately lean towards the Chiefs, but that's kind of just like a boring pick. I might go Bengals.
Okay.
I think the Bengals can represent the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
What's your pick?
Well, I have to. Gotta go with the
Jags.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
I mean, they're not, but I like the optimism.
It's the year of the Jag. It's happening. Trevor's might win MVP this year.
He could. With the way they started the pickups team last year, he could.
Calvin Ridley, comeback player of the year. It's guaranteed year of the Jag. But that's going to wrap it up for us here on the Victory Lap. Thank you all for joining us once again. Hope you all have a very wonderful rest of your week. Thank you all for joining us here on Utica TV. Hope you all like and subscribe and have a wonderful time.